Hi, my name is Miles. I'm the owner of the plant store here in White Center. We've been in business for about 3.5 years now, so going on 4 years in October this year. My background personally is in horticulture, been into plants basically my whole life. I definitely had that jungle room growing up, even as a little kid. My mom was always trying to show it off to other people when they would come to visit. But I did end up going to school for horticulture. I got a bachelor's in agriculture and horticulture, and then a master's in plant physiology and horticultural sciences. We have stuff sort of organized towards the windows. We do have this gorgeous storefront here where we have, the view is not so great outside because we've had some fires, but they're rebuilding that. We actually got federal money, so that's kind of nice. So hopefully stuff will get moving a little bit faster on that. But we have gorgeous west-facing windows here. So we have a lot of our higher light stuff over here on the more north side because it gets a little bit more light. We have our alocasias and more of our succulents and higher light plants. We do have lights on all of our shelves here. So even the stuff that's a little bit down lower, we like to utilize as much space as we possibly can. But everything that's down lower here is still getting some adequate light for it. On the north side here, we have some slightly lower light stuff. We like to keep a full selection of the vining and climbing or trailing pothos and philodendron on the bottom here. It makes it just super easy to point some stuff out. Usually we have some more featured plants kind of in the corner here, just some of the more popular stuff. And then just anything and everything as far as the rest of the north wall goes here. But we have our stump family right now, which I love. They all have their own character. And then currently, right now we have some really cool terrarium or high humidity plants in this display right here. We carry collector plants too, which we have right below there. Right now we just have a handful of stuff, so stuff kind of waxes and wanes and comes and goes. We don't normally keep a huge selection of collector plants out in the store at all times. Over here we have our little island of plants, which is required, right, for all plant stores. So we have some hanging plants. These are going to be more of medium, lower light. In general, the store is kind of cultivated or curated to have plants that are appropriate for apartments and homes in Seattle. So typically people come in and they're just they tell us what kind of light they have, and we're oh, basically everything in here is okay. Just stay away from X, Y, and Z, which are usually cacti, succulents, palms, alocasias. As long as you stay away from that, most of the plants are going to be good. So we have some larger ones over here. Gigantic mother fern, which is actually one of my favorite plants to have. In the shop right now, we have these gigantic monsteras, which is really fun. There's a brand new leaf on that one right there, which is really pretty. We like to put little staff picks in plants that we really like. I feel I have famously said that I don't have calathea at home, except for the Calathea mosaica. And the reason why I have that one is because it has a really thick leathery leaf and it's a lot more forgiving. So if it dries out, it's not gonna die right away like other calathea do seem to get those brown spots. So here in the middle of the store, it's sort of the first thing that you see when you walk in. I wanted to create a nice green screen. Originally we had sort of all of our pothos over here because they do make really great green wall plants. They kind of fill the space out and hang down. But one of the most common questions that we get when people come in are actually I have pets and they eat my plants, or I want to make sure that they're not going to die if they eat my plants, which most houseplants are not going to kill your pets, by the way. They may make them pretty sick. So everything over here is going to be generally safe, and if they do eat it, it's not going to cause any sort of lasting issues. So calathea are a very popular plant to suggest to people, or just a really popular houseplant in general. mostly because they are non-toxic to pets and they're super widely available. However, one of my favorite plants is actually the Bromeliad. So this is a type of Bromeliad. Bromeliadaceae is the family, and there are lots of different species within it. This is the Neoregalia Bromeliad. So it is a smaller epiphytic bromeliad that will grow up into the trees, and it kind of grows. It doesn't get much larger. Some get small or are smaller or get larger than this. This one is about full grown for the central plant. And then it grows off or buds off these little babies here. So all of the bromeliads, which is going to include bromeliads, these neoregalias, all of the air plants, which are tillandsia, they are non-toxic. So they're also related to the pineapple, if you're unaware. So obviously this kind of looks exactly like the top of a pineapple. I think I have, what we're seeing here is the pineapple plant. It's a bromeliad. This one actually happens to be a terrestrial bromeliad. So it does grow on the ground. It doesn't grow in the trees. So pineapples don't grow on trees, even though some bromeliads do. But yeah, it has like this rosette here. It comes out, it gets much larger. And then this is the fruiting body of it. So it's a compound composite flower here. Each individual thing here that we get are those little tiny segments of the bromeliad, or of the pineapple, are the bromeliad flowers. And then it grows another little plume on top, which if you've ever been on the internet, I'm sure you've seen that you can propagate those and create your own pineapple, which is kind of fun. Oh, and then fun fact, if you've never really researched pineapples, it takes 18 months on average for a pineapple to go from start to finish and produce a whole pineapple. So as far as like agronomic commercial crops go, to create like a harvestable unit, that is a long time.
No wonder they're pretty expensive.
So, so yeah. So over here we have some other plants, some sun-loving plants up in the window over here. This gets a tiny less amount of light than our other window, so we tend to put stuff that doesn't want as bright of light. Actually below, I tend to put some of our less popular plants over here, just because, I don't know, if they're not moving as fast or whatever, we usually will get a lot of them. One in particular that is actually really cool is this one. It is a type of Paulownia. This is Paulownia repens. It's like the red form. So you can kind of see a little bit of the variegation, maybe if you hold it up to the light, in the pattern on the leaf. But this one overall has like that darker form. There's other colors out there. It makes like a cool hanging basket. Sometimes it's called like a hanging begonia, I think, which is not a begonia at all. But it makes a cool hanging basket just as a house plant. But what's really fun is that it turns into, and you can kind of see here, like with this little branch, is that it turns into a shingling plant when you put it into a terrarium or you allow it to grow up. I actually have it in some of my terrariums at home just because it creates that sort of shingling pattern, but it's also exceptionally easy to grow, unlike maybe some other terrarium plants that you might encounter. Really nice, bright, vivid color peperomias down here.
The shumi, right?
Yeah, I think that is the shumi. Yeah, it's labeled, I mean, all these names. But right here we have our pottery and some gifty stuff. Like we have some candles and some soap or whatever. And then we have some really great air plants. We try to keep this stocked. Usually whenever we get in a new batch too, like everything from the previous batch just goes on sale for $1, which we have those on the counter right now, so that's really fun. Our pottery tower here behind, which is, you can see fully on the other side. We have some Spanish moss, which is also a type of air plant, sort of like a chaining air plant, where like each individual little piece right here is like its own little plant. But yeah, Spanish moss is tillandsia. It's Tillandsia usinoides. But this is a really cool plant. It has a really cool history too. Called Spanish moss, as so named after the beards of the Spanish conquistadors that came into, you know, Central America and conquistadored, I guess. But really cool. Obviously don't take it from the wild if you're in Florida or Texas or anything, or Louisiana, because it's full of little red mite bugs that will make you itchy.
You speak of personal experience?
Yeah, well, no, actually, I feel like because my mom was always like, don't touch that.
Oh, okay.
Don't touch that, it has bugs in it. It's been commonly used as a packing material.
Yeah.
It's been used to stuff pillows and mattresses. It's been used as, when it's dried, it actually makes really good starter for kindling, for starting fires. On this wall right here, this is our south wall. We have mostly some gift items. The shelves I've been filling up with plants because I am reducing the amount of gift items that we have.
Okay.
They're gonna switch over to a different part of the store, and this whole back wall is gonna become terrarium plants and terrarium supplies. I feel like it's also a natural progression for people if you're really into houseplants to go more into terrarium stuff eventually. We have some gift cards. Everything that we do have that we consider like a gift item are made by independent makers. We don't buy anything that's commercially made. Everything is independent makers. It's not necessarily from local places. There are a lot of local makers in here, but everything is made by, you know, people that are not parts of giant corporations.
These
or
are
whatever.
genius.
So, oh, I know, right? They're also super cute. I mean, obviously, like when an artist has their own freedom to make whatever they want. We also have like, you know, some social justice sort of stuff too. We're really big into mental health here. And then of course we're, you know, gay AF. So we have all of our queer and you know, gay sort of gift items as well. I've always really been interested in having cork because it's not necessarily something you see, at least in like nice big pieces, like in other places. But yeah, this is cork bark. It's a virgin cork bark, which basically just means that it hasn't been chopped up into little bits like you see like for the corks for your wine bottles. An interesting thing about cork is that it can be harvested sustainably off of a tree, so it is considered a semi-renewable resource that way, or a renewable resource for that matter. It can be harvested off the tree without killing the tree, so you can get like a few harvests of it. I honestly don't know how they get the tubes. They probably it probably is not renewable if they're taking a whole tube, which is
like
pretty
stuff
interesting.
Like this.
Yeah, so
That's a
stuff
different
that's
story.
like the slabs or whatever. This one right here is actually called teddy bear choya, so it's a little bit more expensive, but it has a really cool look to it. It has a nice cavity in it, especially if you're using it for animals or for an aquarium. So Super Thrive, we do carry it. It's really popular. A lot of people, I think, get it confused with fertilizer. It's not necessarily a fertilizer. It does have a guaranteed analysis, which is showing 0.500. So that does technically mean that it does have a little bit of nitrogen in it. But right there on the box, it says it adds to your fertilizer program. It has kelp in it and it has vitamins. So it is good for adding to your fertilizer. It helps to make your fertilizer maybe more effective. It definitely helps the rhizosphere or the living soil if you have if you're kind of going the organic route with like a living soil like that. It's more sort of an additive. I would recommend it more for like transplanting perhaps. It's gonna help reduce stress. Or if you have air plants, or if you're fertilizing plants that are in water, if you're doing an aquaculture, then it's going to be good for that because it just has that minute amount of nutrients in it. We have a great selection actually of little tiny miniature carnivores, which is really fun. A bunch of Venus flytrap and Sarracenia, Nepenthes, Drosera. So we have a bunch of those, which is really cool. I love all the little carnivores. You just missed it last week. I had a bunch of butterworts that I brought in, which are the little Pinguicularia. They were just ones that I propagated myself, so I brought those in and had those for sale, which is super fun. They sold super fast, so I'll definitely have to try to get more of those. This is a little tiny Cissus quadrangularis, as named for the square-shaped stem here. But it's just a really fun one. Cissus or Parthenocissus is actually part of the grape family, so I don't think we're really seeing it on here, but they do form tendrils just like grapes do, which is really fun. These get gigantic as well. But we have a bunch because it's like one of my favorite plants too. On the bottom here, we have some pre-made tube terrariums that I've made and kind of grown on a little bit just for sale. Just like as a fun thing if you don't feel like making your own. Up here we have an example of the type of terrarium that we create in our class. It's called our Miniature Worlds class. I consider it to be More of an advanced terrarium, but not necessarily because of the skill or difficulty in building them, just more so because of the type of plant selection that we have for them. They're plants that are more appropriate for being in a completely closed and moist environment like this. Yeah, so it's a little different than just like a basic bee terrarium where you're throwing a bunch of little miniature or just baby plants, which those are fine too, like baby plants inside of a glass bowl and calling it a terrarium. Just about weekly, occasionally a week or so goes by, we give away roses.
I love it. I love it.
But yeah, we feel like you know, it's nice to treat yourself, you know, even if you're here to buy a plant for somebody else or whatever. It's nice to just maybe go home with a rose or, you know, give a rose to somebody else. It's just, you know, it's just a nice gesture that we like to do. We feel like it's one of the smallest things that we could actually possibly do as far as helping to promote mental health. Of course, on our Instagram, we try to promote mental health as well. But another thing that we do, which is really fun that I really like too, is that we have our business cards here, of course, and we do a rotating affirmation on our business cards. So that's the one that we have out now. And we just have like a whole drawer full of
wow, yeah, because I love my cards so much.
Yeah, we have a whole drawer just full of affirmations here. What else is the backside of a business card good for, right? I mean, might as well put something nice on there. I don't know, just remember that you're enough, or that, you know, whatever.
All right, cool. Thank you, Miles, for showing us around. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming in. We're doing it down here in White Center. So if you're looking to get away from the hustle and bustle of Capitol Hill or Fremont, then you're always welcome. You're always welcome to come down here where Seattle's still real. So.